Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the show. We are here today with the weekend edition of the Cabral Concept. These are our Cabral HouseCalls, where I get to step into your house, answer your questions. All these questions come from our community, and we are typically answering them about 6 to 8 weeks after they've come in. That's just how big the queue is for all of the questions that have come in to the Ask Cabral page. But of course, if you need same-day answers Monday through Friday, feel free to leave those at cabralsupportgroup.com. That's our free Facebook group, and we're happy to answer your questions, my health coaching team and I, but also the community will give you feedback as well. You'll see so many success stories there. We never ask for success stories, but people leave them, and we love to read those, so keep them coming. And then, of course, if there's ever a customer support question about an order, etc., you can always just email support@equilibriumnutrition.com. So hopefully that gets you started as to where to find your answers. We always want to provide the best service possible, however we can do that. And this seems to be the best way for me to actually answer your questions to the best of my ability. And I do that on Saturdays and Sundays, typically getting to around 15 questions each weekend split over the two shows. Without further ado, let's dive right into those questions so we can answer as many as possible. The first one's coming in from April 5th. So again, showing you that we're about 7 to 8 weeks behind on these. If you asked your question before April 5th, it's already been answered on a previous house call. And if yours came in after, let's see that. We're probably going to get to, it looks like 4/9, 4/10 today. Yours will be coming on a future show. All right, Melissa's up first, and she says, "Hi there, I'm wanting to buy an upright bike, and I saw that Dr. Cabral links to an indoor cycling bike in a couple of his podcasts as he recommends. I wanted to ask why he recommends this one in particular when making the purchase. This is the one he linked to in a previous podcast." All right. Well, I know the one that you're talking about in a previous podcast, and the only reason why I linked to that one, there's so many great upright bikes. So I just kind of want to make that really straightforward. There's a lot of great upright bikes. The one that I linked to was only about, I think it was probably somewhere around $300. And it looks like, because I've linked to it in many podcasts, it's now all sold out. So I'll try to get another one for you right there. And that's why when I do link to things, there's a newer version right there. This one is going to be $369. I think the previous one was like $295. It looks like this is their new version. So I'll link that up as well. So the reason why I link to that is because there's a lot of people out there who want to get started with an upright bike, and they want a comfortable one. They want one, doesn't have to have a million different gadgets, but this one's really nice. It has an LCD screen, and to get an upright bike for $300 or so, $350 versus, again, if you want to buy a Peloton, fantastic. If you want to buy a couple $1,000 spin bike, fantastic. By all means. But I never want to say, you shouldn't buy an upright bike because, if you can't spend $3,000, then, forget about it. And I know that you're not asking this, Melissa, but that's the reason why I linked to it, is we actually purchased this one for one of our locations in Boston, and it was very comfortable. People liked riding on it. It was definitely sturdy, so you could do Tabata training or interval-based sprints on it, which is just what we use it for at the studio. And it's inexpensive, so people got to try it out, and then they could get one for their house as well. So again, I am okay with any upright bike that you want. It doesn't have to have any fancy gadgets on it. It's just meant for you to either do your interval sprints, anywhere between 5 and 10 on them, or to go for a longer bike ride. And so that's it. Just plain and simple. I'm going to relink up a new one, and I'm going to let my team know that. Thank you for actually bringing that to our attention. And that's why when I mention some of these things on my Friday reviews, they can often sell out, which is great. It's really nice that we have a community that wants to get themselves even healthier. So there you go. All right, Jordan's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. First off, I've been listening to your podcast for a year now, and I wanted to thank you for all the amazing information you give. I'm dealing with signs of Candida overgrowth for quite some time. now, but everything has gotten drastically bad recently. I was on your 7-day detox. After day 5, I developed a rash on my eye and severe dandruff. Not sure if it was any effort to the detox or if you think it could be. I have always had quite dry skin and dandruff. However, I've now developed eczema-like rashes. I've had ongoing yeast infections for years. I feel as all this points to yeast overgrowth. I ordered the CBO protocol a couple months ago to hopefully tackle my yeast infections, but I'm curious to know if this is the right route to go. I'm a university student in Canada, so labs are quite pricey, unfortunately. I also was wondering if it is possible for Candida overgrowth can get so severe it affects organs or the blood. Thank you for all of your help. Okay, so yeah, this is a great question, Jordan. Now, if someone is quite, let's say, well, let's give the technical term. If someone's total body burden or total toxic load is quite high, and they go to do a detox, our detox is there to help them speed up that detox process faster. That's why, again, you don't always want to just fast or dry fast or something like that for a longer period of time. You actually want to support the liver to help move these things through the body. However, Jordan has quite a bit of toxicity like I did back in the day. You may want to start with a gentler detox and simply follow the days 3 through 7 where you're not doing the full liquid fasting, or maybe even just use 1 capsule of the AYU and 1 capsule of the FM to ease into the detox. That would be okay. But Jordan, I agree with you. I mean, it's time to really work on the Candida overgrowth since the detox is not meant for Candida overgrowth. It's meant to lower the total body burden. So that's why we do it every 3 months. And our next one's coming up at the end of June. So for all of those who want to participate in our quarterly detoxes, our next functional medicine detox happens towards the end of June. Okay, so we always do one in January, very end of March or beginning of April, right before the 4th of July, and then in September. And those are basically our 4 detoxes. We typically do one between the holidays of, in the US, Thanksgiving and Christmas or Hanukkah. And the reason is that that's when most people, basically they gain 6 pounds to 10 pounds, a lot of inflammation, they don't feel well, it's flu season, all of those things. So what we want to do is keep the body healthy, and so we do a 7-day kind of reprieve or 5 to 7 day reprieve in between those holidays so that you start the new year fresh. You don't start it with having to lose the 6 to 10 pounds and all the inflammation you just gained. So that's why we do it then. So Jordan, CBO protocol, yes, I would do that. Add the citracidal drops to it, and I would then do the CBO finisher. So there you have it. Yeah. And then, of course, you're doing your DNS shake for breakfast. I would use the omega-3 for some of the skin issues, and I would use zinc as well. Again, I can't give you an exact protocol. I can't treat. I can't diagnose. I can't cure any of those things, right? Especially not over a podcast. But if I was in your position, that's what I would do for me. So that's why I share that information. All right, Jennifer's up next. Hello, I'm someone who's at the end of my rope. I've seen 2 functional Chinese acupuncturists with no help with my digestive issues. I can't begin to tell you the amount of money I wasted on visits and supplements with no help. I have lupus and I was tested for Candida and SIBO, which both were positive. I've done elimination diets, which aren't very good. We'll keep this a family-friendly show, and don't work. I also even took an allergy test for foods. I eat healthy and what I am supposed to eat, but I am a warrior and I do stress and I'm anxious about it. So I'm sure that contributes to my issues as well. All of these supplements with garlic, turmeric, ginger give me heartburn, which yes, I suffer from that, bloating, constipation. I'm begging for help right now. Please, 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 please help me. Okay. Well, Jennifer, you came to the right place. I'm happy to help you, and for the nice price of free right now. So, okay, what do we need to do? 2 main things. We need to work on, if you haven't read the Rain Barrel Effect, please read the Rain Barrel Effect. It's essentially as free as I could make the book. It's like $10. It's on Amazon. It's at equilibriumnutrition.com. All profits go to charity, 100%. I don't keep any money from that book at all. My goal is just to teach people how I practice, how I've been doing that now for decades, and also, that we've seen over 250,000 people. And if you do over 250,000 client appointments, you're gonna be able to learn something over that amount of time. And so we need to work on the stress, because you could be giving yourself SIBO over and over and over, and that happens just from stress for some people. And that's because when you're stressed, with some people, the valve that connects your small intestine to your large intestine doesn't stay closed. So essentially what happens is the bacteria from your colon, which is much more plentiful, goes up into your small intestine, and you get small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Not good. So that can keep happening over and over unless we calm the stress. We don't do garlic and turmeric and ginger as part of our CBO protocol. And the reason is that, ginger can give you heartburn. Garlic doesn't always work for a lot of people in the beginning, especially with sulfur-based, but also that it's a prebiotic. So I've been doing this for so long, and gut is part of our specialty. But you should listen to my previous podcast on the gut. The CBO protocol, without a doubt, has been proven to work. So the CBO protocol, if you've really got it bad, I would add the citracidal drops to it. And yeah, that's where I would start. So that's that. And it works. I mean, we use it thousands and thousands and thousands of times. People all over the world use it. So there we go. And hopefully that was helpful. And again, it's not going to happen overnight. It's a 12-week program, but at the same time, you'll be able to calm your stress at the same time. You'll get more sleep. And you have to read The Rain Barrel Effect, though. Don't do anything until you read that. Take your time. You start to learn that it's never one thing that's going to get you well, right? That it's a system of things that you begin to heal the body. Thank you, Jennifer, for writing in, and I wish you the best. Sinead is up next. Hi, I don't know if you have ever talked about retrovirus. I'm looking for more easily assimilated info on them. My son had ART testing and retrovirus showed up. My question is it possible to completely delete retrovirus from the body, and how? Or is it just always going to remain there to be activated, deactivated? Thank you so much. All right. Thank you for writing in. I think it's either Sinead or Sinead. I think it's Sinead. I know that I'm not the best at pronouncing names, but I believe that's correct. All right. So for people who don't know what retrovirus is, it's any group or any type of RNA-based viruses. And that is something where the DNA is continued to be replicated inside the body. One of those would be like HIV as one particular form. So other retroviruses, I'm not going to go into all the different types of retroviruses. And what basically, I think what you want to know is, can they be eradicated from the body? And it seems to be so, or it seems to be at least like they're, again, in remission or deactivated, just as like an Epstein-Barr virus would be, right? So it's kind of like, is it cured or is it just deactivated in the body? Can it come back again? Well, here's what happens. So like, for example, someone like myself, I had Epstein-Barr virus on and off and on, et cetera, for many, many years. And what happened was, when the virus was stronger than my immune system, it would always win. And when my immune system finally got a little bit stronger and I gave myself the rest that I needed and followed, again, the de-stress protocol, then I was able to knock down the Epstein-Barr virus and it would become deactivated. So I don't think that there's an actual answer yet to all of these, but it certainly does seem that even with HIV, it can be eradicated. Again, does that mean it's completely gone? Does it mean that it's somewhere there but just not fully active? Well, either way, it's gone, right? That's how I look at it. These things are gone. So what I'd like you to do is tune into my How to Destroy Viruses podcast. So let's go to StephenCabral.com. It's in the 800s because I've linked to it so many times now with all the virus stuff going on. But let's go to it right now. So let's first type in retrovirus. Let's see if that came up. StephenCabral.com/podcasts. I do the same as you. I just look at them. I talked about the retrovirus twice on 1304 and 1310 episodes. Let's just type in destroy virus. Let's see if the podcast pops up in the 800s. And was it in the 800s? I might be wrong. No, it's episode 760. There we go. So that's why, again, just use the search box at StephenCabral.com/podcasts. You'll be able to find all the previous podcasts. So, Sinead, what I would do is I would look to episode 760 for a lot more information. But of course, read The Rain Barrel Effect. Look at what the underlying root causes are that's keeping your body weakened, or in this case, your son's body weakened, and then begin to remove those toxicities and replace any deficiencies that he may have. Lolly is up next. Hi there. From some of the podcasts, I've come to the conclusion I may have a parasite or Candida overgrowth. One of the podcasts directed me to the parasite cleanse. However, I don't see it anywhere. Is this now the functional detox cleanse? Thank you. So, Lolly, this is a great question to ask at CabralSupportGroup.com because you wrote in on 4/7. It does say on the Ask Cabral page that it takes about 6 to 8 weeks to answer your question. And I want to make sure that you get your question answered right away. But no, if you go, they're not the same. So if you go to equilibriumnutrition.com and the search box there, if you just type in parasite, you're going to find the para support protocol. We can't use the word parasite, believe it or not. Now that's considered a medical word, so you're not allowed to use it. So really simply put, just you want the para support protocol, and you can also do testing for that, and that's the complete gut bacteria and parasite test. And so I would definitely recommend doing either one of those. The functional medicine detox would come first. And then, of course, you could do the parasite protocol and then the intestinal cleanse right afterwards. And that's definitely the best way to do it. Okay. Thanks, Lolly. Barry's up next. Hello. I recently found out I had Kennedy's disease, spinal and bulbar muscular atrophy, SBMA, and I was wondering if there's anything you can recommend, as it seems there's no cure or treatments available. I've been suffering with symptoms for nearly 20 years and would love your insight, Barry. All right. So, Barry, let's head back to stephencabral.com/podcast. Let's see if we've ever talked about Candidas before. And I don't remember actually speaking about it before. So what we want to do is first, let's chat about it with telling people that again, these are all inherited genetic diseases. They're all rare when you typically haven't heard about it before, but this is a neuromuscular based disorder. And it's essentially, it's a muscle wasting. It's a catabolism of the muscles, the arms, the legs. This is what we need to look at. So this is really, really important because they say there's no cure, there's no treatment. Well, that's true if you were trying to treat the disease, right? Let's just see who I'm talking to, Barry. What we need to do is make sure that we are not exacerbating the inflammation or any additional toxicities that would speed up this process and not allow you to kind of halt the progression, right? That's our goal, is halting progression. So what you want to do is, again, you can work with your functional medicine doctor locally, your integrative health practitioner locally, or you can run something like the Big 5 labs at equilibriumnutrition.com. And if you're not able to, we'll simply start with like the starter kit, right? That's a great place to start. The starter kit, it's 2 labs that looks at all your vitamin levels, all your mineral levels, looks at toxicities, looks at gut issues. And you want to make sure that you figure out what those are, right? So remove your toxicities first. Then you want to replace those deficiencies. It might be something as simple as the daily foundational protocol level 2 or level 3. But that's what I always do. When we're talking about rare genetic issues, well, we're talking about what would exacerbate it, and we need to know what your toxicities are. So like, let's lab test. And then we need to know what your deficiencies are. And then we begin with a minimum of the daily foundational protocol level 2. So hopefully that's helpful. Thank you for writing in. And I do wish you all the best. So Jason's up next. Hey, Dr. Cabral, just wondering if you have any suggestions on an all-natural daily facial cleansing regimen, or if you could talk about your own daily regimen in regard. Thank you so much. You're doing amazing work. Jason, I'm going to do a full show on this in the future, but thank you for writing in. I appreciate you saying that. So I want to do a full show on this. My wife has a full skincare process. Not that she's like overly into it, but it's something that she's really studied, all organic products, like really, really knowledgeable in them. I keep like my skin my skin routine is very, very rudimentary and very, very simple. I use an olive oil based soap, so no harsh soaps at all, just simple, pure olive oil. Or I'll use a coconut based soap. I used to use different or natural foaming cleansers. I'll talk about those in the future. If you wanted to use a pH balancer, you could certainly use an apple cider vinegar. I do not. Raw apple cider vinegar. Some people like to use witch hazel. I would not. But again, mine's very, very simple. I use a argan oil at night, and I use a oil with carrot seed and other natural antioxidants in the morning when I wake up. And that's the gist of it. So I'm not going to be the one to give you that. I'm the one who reviews the products to make sure that they're non-toxic. And that's why I want to be able to give you a really good skincare and beauty care routine in the future. And I will bring that to you. I just want to make sure that I can give you the best products possible and also make it doable. So I'll give you a good 3-step process. And then maybe I'll talk more about a 5 or 7-step process for using different serums, for using different eye creams, all of those things as well. I should start using them. I need to start using them. Chronologically, I'm not growing any younger. Biologically, I feel that way, but chronologically and and a little bit of those gray hairs coming in and a little bit of those wrinkles setting in, I think I should probably get on this protocol as well. So thanks, Jason, for writing in, and certainly that will be coming in the future. All right, so let's go over one more question. I think we have time for one more. Darren's up next. Hey, pleasant day, Dr. Rawl. Hope all is well with you, your wife, daughters, and those attached to Equilibrium Nutrition. Thank you, Darren. I recall a podcast you did with Dr. Belisa with regard to proper breathing technique. If I'm not mistaken, I believe you recommend a 5-second inhale and or a longer exhale. Despite my best efforts, I cannot make the 5-second inhale. It has to be really forced and I get overwhelmed. Most I get is around 3.5 seconds on the inhale. The exhale is no issues. Is there a problem that can affect me or am I overthinking it? Does everyone have different lung capacity, so some fill up quicker or something? If not, any advice with regard to this would be most appreciated. I tried the single nostril breathing too. I don't know if it's helping. I'm a Vata Pitta type, fit, As always, keep up the great work. Darren, thank you for writing in. Yeah, absolutely. There's issues with people taking a big inhale breath. And then there's also people having issues with the exhale breath. I've always had more difficulty with a longer exhale breath because my body previously was always really wired more towards the sympathetic nervous system. So when you breathe in, it's sympathetic, and when you breathe out, it's more parasympathetic stimulating. So I had a very difficult time switching off the sympathetic nervous system, being myself more predominantly in the Vata-based state. So Darren, I know what you're saying, and we want to look at inflammation in the lungs. We want to look at lung capacity. We want to look at tightness around the thoracic area of your spine, which is basically your mid-back and chest. So I would try doing your inhalation differently. I would try to do it lying on your back and see if that helps at all. What I would also do is just really get into more of a relaxed, meditative-based state and see if that calms your central nervous system too. But also, don't try to breathe to the chest. See if you can start to breathe in slowly down where the belly is. They call it diaphragmatic breathing, so I would like you to look up diaphragmatic breathing as well. I'm going to do more about this. Dr. Belisa is coming out with a new book, so I might have her back on as well. I haven't had any guests on twice, I don't think, but I might have her back on. And again, it's not the only way to breathe, but it's the best for calming the nervous system. So box breathing is also great. That's 5 seconds in, hold for 5 seconds out, exhale for 5. You could do that for 3, 3, 3, and 3 if you wanted to. Alternate nostril breathing, if you want to look that up, that's great. An inhale of 5 seconds and exhale for 7 is great. Inhale for 3, exhale for 5. I mean, all of those work. You don't want to force it, but you do want to be able to retrain your breathing. And then there is also what are called breathing retrainers to allow you to be able to increase lung capacity. Why don't I do this, Darren? I'm going to give you a shout out. This Friday on the podcast, I'm going to talk about the breathing retrainer. All right, so let's put that in there. And it's something that I've tried in the past, breathing retrainer, and that is it. So I will talk about that, and I'm going to link it up. That's going to be 81, 82, episode 1582 coming out next week. All right? Haven't recorded it yet, and Darren, that one's going to be for you to work on your inhalation capacity as well. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. We got through a bunch of questions. Always happy to see that. And, of course, I'll be answering more of our community's questions tomorrow. Be sure to tune in. Today was episode 1576. If you want to read the questions, tomorrow will be episode 1577. Thank you so much. Hope you're enjoying your weekend. I'll talk with you tomorrow. Ever wonder what the best sauna, blue blockers, sleep trackers, wake lights, salt lamps, or other health gadgets are? Or what about the top non-toxic mattresses, sheets, soaps, bath products, toothpaste, and cookware? Or would you like to know the cleanest choices for hemp hearts, meal delivery services, supplements, and much more? I personally curated, researched, and now created a resource page of all of my top picks that continues to grow each week. These are the exact products I use in my own life, with my family, in my private practice, and they're the ones I trust. To find out all of my up-to-date recommendations and all the details, simply head on over to StephenCabral.com/resources.